So welcome back. This is my second video. Apologies about the length of time. I didn't quite realise how busy I'd be over the last 12 months. So I know I promised a few videos and they didn't happen. However, I can't thank you in anybody enough for the comments and the subscribes. I didn't actually think anybody had watched the video, so thank you very much for watching it, and for those that have said that it's helped them and it was easy to follow and well explained. I thank you as well. For those of you that have got projects going on and that have asked questions, appreciate that some of it might be a little bit late, but I'm going to try and cover off some of those as well in upcoming videos. I'm not going to make any promises as to when they'll be though. So I'm going to continue on from the last video. So if you haven't watched that, you might want to go back and watch that now, because some of the stuff that's included I'm going to skip over, such as creating this spreadsheet and the tabs using Google Script in the first place. So what we are going to do this time is we're going to look at how we reset this, so we get rid of all the tabs apart from goals, and then we start creating all the extra tabs or sheets again after that. So this will come in very handy if you've got data that's constantly being updated. Perhaps it's a shared document and you've got people that are constantly updating this sheet. It would come in very handy for that, of course, without having formulas that can easily be deleted by people that are just basically not being careful or aren't aware of how difficult some formulas or how complicated some formulas can actually be to write in the first place. And then you've written them all and they're all gone forever. At least with a script, if somebody does do something on the next update, it'll be corrected anyway. So this is the script that we wrote before. So essentially we take each sheet or each tab and we're going to delete those apart from the tab called goals, which is our main sheet. So very simply, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look to just create a couple of lines of text that won't affect the script at all. That way, if I come back into this in 12 or 18 months time, because maybe there's an issue with the script, or I want to come back in and I want to change something or update it, at least I know what section then I need to be working in. So I'll just create a couple of lines of text. Now what we're going to do, we're going to create a loop before we create the text, before we create the sheet, sorry, and we're going to create another loop that's essentially going to delete all the sheets. So we're going to create that loop before this loop. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're writing our text or our other loop before we put in this sheet and this unique, because we're going to delete all sheets apart from goals. Now that's going to create a problem if we're going to create the sheet unique and then we're going to delete it straight away. It will just throw the whole script out. So we want to make sure that we're moving that down. Now to start a line of text, by the way, it's 2 forward slashes or 2 forward leaning lines, or however you want to say it, and then you just type. It's free text, then you can just type in what you want to type. So the first thing I'm going to type is from this point we will loop through and delete all sheets except goals. So essentially I'm going to say that anything below this line is going to be deleting all the sheets except goals. And then just above where we've got unique, I'm going to do the same again, 2 linear lines or forward slashes, and then I'm going to put below this point we will start creating sheets based on team names. So when we come back into this later, we can clearly see that any script that we've got here relates to the deleting of sheets. Anything below this point relates to creating sheets. So there's the 2 really simple bits that I like to do. It just keeps everything nice and clean and tidy. Not only that, if this is a shared document again or a shared script again, and there's 2 of you working on it, at least somebody else can come in and they can see exactly what you've done and exactly what that bit of script means. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get all those sheets. So again, above this line, I'm going to create another variable, and that variable I'm going to call sheets. Now sheets is going to be SS, so we're going to call that active spreadsheet, and it's simply called get sheets. Okay, so that finishes that off. It's just a variable that we can call on later. And now we're going to start building that loop that's going to look through all the sheets. So again, because we're doing a loop, we need to enter 4. Doesn't really matter that we're calling this loop I again, because obviously it's a different loop. So we're going to go for I equals 0, so we're going to start at the first sheet in a list, and then I is less than sheets, so we're calling that sheets now, dot length, and then I plus plus, and then again we want to create them curly brackets. So again, much like a formula where we use the open and close brackets, for a loop we're going to be using and functions, we use the curly brackets to open and close that function or loop. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and type the word switch. So this is going to be getting all of our sheets that are in this spreadsheet or document. So sheets, and then we're going to call on I, so I is the sheet that we're looking at that point in time, dot get sheet name. So we want to know the name of the sheet. We don't want to know the number of the sheet or the ID of the sheet. We want the name of the sheet. And again, open and close brackets. Okay, so again, this switch now is a formula within a formula, so to speak. So when we do nested formulas, this is like nested functions. So we're now switching between sheets, right? But if the sheet name, so we're going to go case, so this is kind of like an if function now. So if, let's use the word if just to make it easier, if the sheet name is goals, then what we want to do, so you need your colon there at the end of goals. What we want to do there is we want to continue, so we want to skip that iteration, and we want to skip that sheet, and we want to keep doing that until we've gone through all of the sheets. and then as a default, once we've found each sheet, so we type the word default, semicolon, and this is where we tell it what we want to do once we found the sheet, or once we found each sheet, unless of course that's calls. Now I'm just going to go back to continue because I've actually skipped a step here. I should have put a semicolon at the end, so always make sure that you put semicolons where they're required, where you put colons where they're required, open and close brackets or curly brackets where they're required, because if you don't do that, it's going to mess up your formula and or your script, sorry. And if that script is a long script, sometimes you can just go blurry-eyed looking for that one little mistake that you've made, to the point where you can't figure it out and you have to come back 2 or 3 days later, and then you'll find it instantly. But if we can just make sure as we're going through it, this is just something I like to do. I like to keep going back and double checking my work as I'm going through it, just making sure that I have got everything in order, all my ducks in a row, so to speak. So going back to default, what we want to do as a default once we found each sheet is we want to start deleting it. So now we need to call back on our spreadsheet, so on that variable that we've got that calls the active spreadsheet. And then what we want to do now is we want to delete sheet. Okay, and that sheet is going to be in our loop, so we need to call sheets, which is our variable from up the top, where we say let's get the sheets. Now we want to get the sheet name, and that sheet name is going to be I. Okay, so that essentially now, when we run it, is going to look through all the sheets. It's going to continue over each iteration unless it comes to goals, then it's going to skip it, and on each iteration it's going to delete the sheet. So I'm going to save that, and as we can see, we've got all the sheets here that we want. I'm just going to go back into that script and I'm going to run that now. It's going to ask me to review permissions. And that's now going to start running that. So we'll see all the sheets being deleted. Now it's creating that unique tab that we done last time, and then it's doing each iteration and creating each sheet again with the players inside each sheet compared to the team that they play for. And again, we've got no formulas because we've copied and pasted that information. So it's quite a small, simple script that will do that work for you. Now, let's say for example, I'll just wait for this to finish, but let's say for example this is a working document. You've got multiple people updating this document, and you want those sheet names, or those individual sheets, to be updated each time somebody types something into your main sheet or your summary sheet. So let's say Harry Kane has left Tottenham. Let's say Haaland didn't actually go to Manchester City, and Harry Kane did. So let's say Harry Kane's now at Manchester City. Obviously, as things stand, this will never be updated. So if we click on Manchester City, he won't be there. What's happened? He won't be there. But if we go to Tottenham Hotspur, he's still there. So as far as the individual tabs are concerned, he's still at Tottenham. But we know in this mythical world that he's joined Manchester City. So I would now set up a trigger for my club tabs. To do that, you go back into your scripts, you click on triggers, you click on add trigger. Okay, which function do we want to edit? Well, it's club tabs. Okay, from spreadsheet, so we want to click the source event as spreadsheet. Deployment should run ahead, and select the event type. So we can do that on edit, we can do it on change, we can do it on form submit. So we're going to do on edit. And one of the things I always like to do when I'm setting up a new trigger is I want to know immediately if there's any errors with my trigger, anything goes wrong. So I always switch that to notify me immediately. That way I can jump in before anybody's even noticed that it's gone wrong and I can fix it. So we save that. So that is now set up, and that should run every time there is a change. So let's have a look at another one. Pierre-Patrick Aubameyang no longer plays for Arsenal. This is at Chelsea. So what should happen now is we should see that trigger kicking in. So all them sheets have been deleted, and it's now going to create your new sheets. So if we click on Arsenal, there's no Pierre-Patrick Aubameyang. But once the Chelsea sheet has appeared, we can see his name in the blue of Chelsea. And the same should go with Harry Kane when Manchester City pops up. He should now be in the blue of Manchester. Harry Kane. And that is your simple script to create your tabs, delete, and set up a trigger so that that runs every time your main sheet is edited. Now we can go into more detail with that, and we can say only when this sheet is edited, or we could have a little pop-up that comes up that basically says, you know, this sheet is currently being edited, you know, please do not, or there is a script currently running, please do not edit. There's so many things that we can do and we can run into. Now there was some comments on my previous video with different works that people are looking at. One of them was reversing this script so that it becomes a summary, and that might be the next one that I do. However, if you've liked this and it's really helped you, again, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what projects you've got on the go, what sort of things that you're looking for next, what sort of triggers that or scripts that you're hoping to achieve, and I will try my hardest to create another video much sooner than it's taken me to create this one. Thank you very much.